Yo, what is up guys, Dream here, and in today's video I thought I'd share how I made my currency on day one, a few tips and tricks, an update on the Lightning Arrow Ballista build, and of course some things about it moving forward. Alright, so let's start off with the generic stuff everyone can get some use from. How did the Grimro get its currency on day one from everything? Well, of course, you guys know me, I had to be doing the mechanic. On day one, it's mandatory for me to get in there and get in some action. Now, a lot of people seem to be thinking that the Forbidden Sanctum is unrewarding, and I think that's more a product of it just being overly complex and very, very hard, and a little bit unbalanced towards certain builds. Now, I obviously, fortunately, ended up with a build which is potentially one of the best builds for Forbidden Sanctum, a totem-based build with high-ish single target and pretty damn good clear speed. It's basically a perfect package. And if you're looking for someone that is able to clear Forbidden Sanctums in whites and yellows very nicely, with the potential to do them in reds with gear, it's definitely a good build for it. Overall, stuff like, which has low single target damage, low burst, and also is melee related and stuff like that is definitely struggling, so that's definitely a bit of a stuff there. So why am I mentioning this? Well, I earned a pretty damn good amount of currency from Forbidden Sanctum. So in the very, very early parts of the league, we're talking like, as soon as I got to maps, a good chunk of my currency did actually come from Chaos Orbs, which I just got from the Forbidden Sanctum. So I did Forbidden Sanctum and Chaos Recipe as my two ways to get currency for my build. And that's basically it. I didn't really get any sort of like essences. There was no essences selling or anything like that. I think I did just a few, which I corrupted, and I think I sold an essence of like horror, and I also sold some essences of dread, but the majority of it was from Chaos Recipe and the Forbidden Sanctum. All right, so let me talk a little bit about how that works. So obviously Chaos Recipe, we all know that you can do that. Infinite Heist is also a great way to do Chaos Recipe, but for the Forbidden Sanctum, there is actually one thing which you guys need to know about it, and that is that you should always take the immediate or end of floor reward, and you want to prioritize Chaos Orbs. If you want more info on the Forbidden Sanctum, you can check out my video, which came up alongside today with this one. But the gist is, basically, you want to do floor 1 and 2 and stop and reset it. Because there's no way you're making it to floor 4, consistently. And when you do, you're going to like lose half the reward sometimes. So just do floor 1 and 2. Or if you can't do floor 2, just do floor 1. And every build should be able to do floor 1. It's pretty damn easy. And always pick the Chaos Orb, or that kind of a bubblegum equivalent. And make sure you always stack that shit up to 8, because going in every map for a load screen kind of sucks. So go all the way up to 8 and it's pretty damn good. Alright, so that was how I made my currency early. Moving on, I then transitioned into Eldritch Altars, Legion, and Delirium. Now, if you guys haven't seen my big, overhype, crazy Atlas passive review, TLDR is Atlas passives are so insanely buffed. You can basically run any mechanic you want with Stream of Consciousness and the nodes here, and get it almost 100% of the time in maps. So you can start doing stuff like Expedition, Ritual, Legion, basically you name it, you can do it 100% of the time, as long as you fully spec into it, as soon as yellow maps, as long as you can get all the points, and that's going to be pretty damn nice as well. Accompanied with Essence, you can make a pretty damn nice Alchemist passive strategy there. Definitely recommend checking that out overall. I did try Harbingers for a little bit, but that is a little bit of a tough one because the Fracturing Orbs are super duper rare. Okay, so that's kind of where I'm at in the end game. There'll be future videos coming out on that soon. All right, so how did the build perform? Well, this has been probably one of my best league starters to date. It solved all of my issues with Corrupting Fever, and overall, despite a few hiccups which we'll cover, it's been pretty damn nice overall for the mechanic. All right, so it's currently done all content that you can expect of a mapper. It has done all of the maps pretty much, and it's done both the Void Stones. I've opted not to go ahead and do Maven and Uber out at this stage. I'm probably going to buy carries for them. I'll be completely transparent, because it's actually cheaper to buy carries right now than try it yourself. I think Maven's it's 2 divines and it's like 40C to buy a carry. I gotta be crazy not to just buy a carry at this point, so I'm not really sure why I wouldn't just do that, and I'm gonna do that. Alright, so the character is basically a mapping specialist at this stage. I've fully spec'd it into mapping, and I plan to further spec it into mapping overall. So let's talk about the axe. The axe was some of the smoothest I've had on a mapping build ever. As long as you focus on upgrading your bow, and I'm sure a lot of people down below will agree with me, you have insane damage throughout the campaign. It's really, really nice. When you hit maps, make sure that you really, really do focus on getting enough damage and resists, and really try to bulk up, because I did have a few issues when I hit white maps with not having enough defense and getting one tapped. So make sure you go for that and you do bulk up. I stayed Rain of Arrows until I got my first 5/6 link, and then I made the transition from Precise Technique, which if you guys watch my video, you guys will know all about. I made my transition from Precise Technique over to Crit alongside my change into a 5/6 link, and then I also swapped to Lightning Arrow from Rain of Arrows at that point and put that in the 5/6 link, and that was very nice, and I did, my clear just went through the roof, and it was basically all gravy train from there. The other things that you need to pick up early are 2 teamings, which are pretty damn nice. You can also pick up a Prism Weave and Karui Ward, which is pretty nice. The Poised Prism is pretty nice, and you can also replace a Karui Ward later with a Hyri's Truth once you go into the Critical Strike version. In addition to that, you may also want to get some Shadows and Dust. They're pretty good for clear, however they do make resist, attributes, and defense more difficult, so if you do not have those, I recommend not using these, as they can make gearing a little bit harder. Alright, some things to know about is also that Rain of Splinters is basically a chase item now, so the single target damage on this build did get hindered quite a bit. You now go from having 10 projectiles potentially all the way down to 8, which definitely does reduce the damage overall of a lot of builds. In addition to that, I haven't actually had the totem helmet here, so I've been running on 6 projectiles, and you know, I was able to do all content fine on projectiles, which is just fine, but obviously if you can get more, it would be better. I've recently been trying to pick up more projectiles here with the Virgin Artillery Ballista. I bought that last night at the end of the stream, and I've also bought a helmet, which I'm going to be using potentially moving forward. With the helmet enchant 2 additional arrows to get the juice going, so that'll bring me up to 9. You know, it would have been nice to be at 10, but you know, that's the way it is. Overall, for the then next part of the gear, you're going to want to be picking up as much damage on a bow as possible. I made this one with 1 essence. You can get a really cheap Imperial bow through the Imperial Legacy cards, which are now probably going to be flooding onto the market with people actually farming proper strategies. So you should be able to get a bow for like under a divine. Just throw some essences at it until you get roughly anywhere between 800 to 900 elemental or total DPS, and that's kind of what you're looking for. If you can get crit, that's even better, but if you can't, you know, not a big deal. So overall, you can see my gear isn't too insane. You know, it's like, you know, just fine. And where did all the money go? Well, we also have a Death Rush here. You know, we've got 2 Inspired Learnings currently on the character, the double Inspired setup. And we also crafted a 6 to 8 Divine Bow, which is, you know, 1200 DPS crit base bow, which you guys will see tomorrow. That's where all my money went on day 1. So yeah, I'm also playing along with my friend Firegrass. We're having a blast, and we're trying to figure out the Forbidden Sanctum together. We figured if we unite and we try and play together, you know, we'll be able to have a better chance of seeing how much we can get done with the mechanic faster, so people can enjoy the mechanic faster as well. Overall, I initially planned to go with Deadeye, but I think I'm actually going to stick with Raider for a little bit longer, and that's because defenses and, you know, ailment avoid and all sorts of stuff like that, and suppression, you know, they're very nice on Raider, and the single target is also very nice on Raider as well, and that's definitely something that I'm looking for the Forbidden Sanctum, and that's something that Deadeye doesn't explicitly get, which Raider does. So I'm going to stay Raider for the foreseeable future for now. Maybe I'll swap to Deadeye after I'm done with the Forbidden Sanctum, or I get enough damage where I don't need to worry about losing the utility that Raider grants me. So overall, that's kind of where it's at. I'll round this video out with a quick, you know, showcase of a map. We'll just run this one here. You guys can get a bit of a look at what the build looks like with this level of gear. You know, obviously it's a little bit scuffed. I'm missing an Abyss Jewel right now. I do not have rolled flasks properly, so it's a bit scuffed. I'm missing a silver flask. You know, it's definitely not perfect. You know how I roll. I like to keep a bit loose and loosey-goosey on the first day, and we'll shake things up when we come forward here, moving forward. So this is a red map. Obviously, you can see that my lightning arrow is basically completely one-tapping everything, and I would say my DPS is kind of middling at this point. It's definitely nothing, you know, insane. And my single target is obviously, you know, need to get amped up as well. We'll lock in that, and let's slurp out of here. So I think this is about gear you guys could expect to have, you know, when you get into T16s, especially if you grab a 6-link bow, Imperial bow, which is pretty damn good. So you can see here, it can do, you know, no problems, you know, red maps, you know, it's pretty chill. Put down the totems for the single target. Down it goes. It's a pretty chill playstyle, and it's also exceptionally good at Forbidden Sanctum content because you put the totems down and you just run around and nothing can really hit you. So it's very nice, and this is only going to further scale with the new bow that we're crafting and have crafted, and also, you know, stuff like Awakened Gems and just, you know, overall better gear. Eldritch Implicits, I don't have really any Eldritch Implicits yet, and so overall we've got a long way to go, but it's looking pretty damn good, and I think this is probably going to be one of the best, if potentially not the best all-rounder for Forbidden Sanctum and mapping explicitly, which is pretty damn good. You know, it's very, very nice to be able to just run and, you know, not have big issues. And I definitely highly recommend it for anyone who didn't like their League starter or is coming in late. I think it's a pretty damn nice build, as long as you can get your hands on a good bow, consistently upgraded, and you'll have a pretty damn nice time. Everything is pretty cookie cutter and simple, and it's, you know, a pretty nice experience. So hope you guys enjoyed this quick update video. There'll be more to come. Make sure to stop by the stream if you're interested in Forbidden Sanctum, endgame grinding strategies, and bow builds. And until next time, then, if you liked the video, like it. If you didn't, thumbs down, as always, and see you then. Bye.